All right, we're still going to talk about symmetry with that line symmetry and rotational that we went over yesterday with that activity. We're just going to put things kind of down in our notes as far as like definitions goes, how we technically talk about these things, and we're going to continue to do more practice with these two types of symmetry. So when something has symmetry, yesterday we saw that that could really look like two different things. Symmetry could be when you like draw a line through a shape and you fold it and it looks the same. That's one way. But we also had symmetry where when we turned the shape, it also looked the same. Those are two different types of symmetry, but they both kind of meant the same thing, that my shape should be able to kind of match itself, whether I'm folding it or I'm just turning it. So how we might call that, or kind of a real general way to talk about those types of symmetry, is that this is when shapes carry onto itself. Okay, and we kind of talked about this already a little bit in your guys' bell ringer today. But what two types of symmetry did we have yesterday? Keegan?
Rotational symmetry.
We had rotational symmetry. That was the second one we talked about yesterday.
And just normal line symmetry.
Line symmetry. Does anyone remember, like, there was a technical word that we had in our notes yesterday? It also started with an R.
Reflection.
Good, reflection. So reflection symmetry, or as we call it, line symmetry sometimes, both of those kind of go hand in hand. But yes, those are the two types of symmetry that we talked about yesterday. And we did a lot of examples, mainly quadrilaterals, like we talked about parallelograms, rectangles, squares, trapezoids, okay? We're going to kind of get into some other situations today. So it's not always going to be just a shape like what we saw yesterday. Sometimes you'll have like a design, or maybe it'll be like a flower or something like that. And they're going to want you to figure out, does this shape have any line symmetry, or does it have any rotational symmetry? Remember, line symmetry, or that reflection symmetry, basically means that you draw a line through your shape and the two halves match. That's really what we were doing yesterday with our line symmetry. And remember, we were using our patty paper yesterday to help us with that. You guys are still able to use your patty paper now. So if you're doing something, especially with some of these shapes that start to look really, really weird, if you're like, I don't know if it has line symmetry and I can't really visualize that just in my own head, then use your patty paper. You can still take that piece from yesterday. You can trace the shapes that we're working with today. And imagine if I drew a line here, would it work? If that one doesn't work, try another line. And then maybe you won't be able to find any, because there are shapes that don't have line symmetry. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of different examples down here that don't look necessarily like what we saw yesterday. I'm going to do just a couple with you guys, and then I'm going to give you some time to just try to do the rest of them on your own. Let's start with just number one. And like I said, some of you might be able to do this visually. You may not need your patty paper. Some of you might be really good at spotting the lines of symmetry. If that's not you, use your patty paper to help you out here. Okay, so if we look at this heart, does anyone see lines of symmetry that would work? Keegan?
Straight up and down.
You mean like this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Are there more lines of symmetry in this picture? Why not? Yeah, the top and the bottom don't match. Okay, so I actually have this on a piece of patty paper. Okay, so I've got a heart just like this. And the line that you guys just talked about, right, looks like this. In fact, when you guys were in elementary school, is this how you learned how to make hearts? Yeah, you know, you like cut it, you trace, you cut it, and you're like, ta-da, it's a heart. Okay, what if I go like this? No. Remember we talked about yesterday that if they don't line up perfectly, it doesn't work. What about diagonally? Do you think I could fold this diagonally and have it work? Probably not. I mean, I could test it here. I think I've got a diagonal in here. That doesn't really work either. Okay, so I agree. There's only one line of symmetry for that shape. All right, let's skip to another one. I'm going to kind of skip around here. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and put that in that blank. One line of symmetry. What about let's just go right underneath it, number 5. Do you think this shape has any line symmetry? Why not, JD?
Because it's like a triangle, and triangles aren't like going to be able to fold, right?
Well, what about that triangle I have over there on my board? I drew lines on that one.
Like, that one's also like curved though.
This one's a little more intricate than just a regular old plain boring triangle like over there on the board. Okay, that one's got like this real crazy design here. If you guys think about if I drew a line here and I fold those together, are they going to match? No. When you start to get to like really detailed pictures, sometimes they're not going to fold over and look quite right when you do that. Like this has a lot of stuff going on down here, and so does this. But when you fold them, they're not going to be facing the same direction. So that's not going to work. Again, if this is hard for you to see, you could take the time and trace that shape down onto your patty paper. You don't have to be perfect about it either. You could just maybe kind of scribble over the areas that you know are kind of like heavy with the pattern. And then you still would be able to fold it and like see that it doesn't work. Okay, so I agree. This one doesn't have any. So we're just going to write 0 down here. And we talked about that yesterday too. Not all shapes have line symmetry. Some have 0. All right, I want you guys to finish 2 through 8 in that section. So by yourself, write down your answers here. If you need your patty paper, get your piece of patty paper out and use that to help you. Go ahead and compare with someone next to you. Make sure you guys have the same answers on everything, please. And if you don't, decide who's right and who's wrong. Find one full. 0, 0. 0, 1. I thought this just worked as 1, 2, 3. I see a 6 here and I have a 12 over here.
Still, not my number. At least I think so.
Okay, let's come together on these here. Let's make sure we all got the same answers. Starting with number 2 here, I saw a lot of answers out there. I saw a 3, I saw a 4, I saw a 6, I saw an 8, I saw 12. Okay, there's a lot going on. Who feels really confident with their answer? A couple of you do. Greer, you want to tell me what you said? 6. Where are they?
And then there's two in each corner that go on the angle.
Like in between the petals.
Yeah. Like that kind of cut the corners in three.
Okay.
3, 4.
And then there's these ones that go through the petals too, right? So there's 5. There's 6. Let's just count these here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How do you think someone gets to 12? They count the other side, but are those separate lines of symmetry? No, okay? But if you made that mistake, guys, I'm not like trying to call you out. That is something that I see happen every year when I go over this problem with kids. Someone always says 12, and multiple people say 12, okay? Because they're double counting. So we want to clarify that so that you don't make that mistake in the future. When you see another shape, you don't want to double count the lines, okay? But I agree, this one has 6. All right, how about number 3? Keegan?
1.
Where's it at?
Like horizontal.
Horizontal. Is that the only one?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. 4?
0.
0. It's too kind of odd of a triangle. If it was more regular, like the one I have over there on my whiteboard, then it would maybe work. But this one's a little bit too long on that one side. It's not going to quite fold over nicely. Okay, we did 5. How about number 6? 3. Parker, where are they?
Up and down. And then each corner.
Like that? I would agree. This triangle, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. That's a regular triangle. So remember, regular shapes mean all the sides are the same, all the angles are the same on the inside. So however many sides the shape has, that's how many lines of symmetry it should have. We talked about it with the square having 4 yesterday. We talked about the stop sign yesterday having 8 because it's a regular octagon. So that one should only have 3. How about number 7? 1. Where can I cut that B at, Logan?
Right down the middle.
Horizontally or vertically?
Horizontal.
Like that. So just 1. And 8?
0.
0 again, okay? This one again is getting a little too technical with its pattern. Not all patterns will have 0. Think about if you've ever seen like a kaleidoscope before, those images are really, really detailed. Like there's a lot of stuff that happens in a kaleidoscope, but kaleidoscopes tend to be pretty symmetrical. So if you were looking at something like that, they can have some reflection symmetry. So some shapes will, some won't. So just because it gets detailed with like a pattern doesn't mean it's an automatic no. All right, good. Now let's come down here to the bottom of this page. We've got these grids and they've got some of the squares shaded in. And what they're asking you to do here is to shade more squares. And it could just be shading 1 square, could be shading 3, could be shading a lot. It kind of just depends on how you're going to make this work. But they're specifying how many lines of symmetry they want the shape to have. Okay, so what we want to do is add some detail to our picture. We want to add some shading in order to satisfy what they're asking. So let's do this first one, number 9. They're saying to shade it so it has exactly 1 line of symmetry, only 1. Okay, these ones I think can be a little bit more tricky to visualize. So again, if you need your patty paper to kind of help you can lay it down on top of the grid and kind of shade and figure out where you could maybe add another shaded square. But I only want 1 line of symmetry. Keegan, what do you think?
The exact other side of it.
When you mean other side, you mean like all on the left?
Yeah. The left middle.
Okay. I agree, that's going to have symmetry. I guess I'm questioning though, does that only have 1 line of symmetry? This one has 2, right? Where are they at, Logan?
It's vertically and horizontally.
Yeah, so see how that has 2? And that works, but they don't want it for 2. They want it for how many lines? Just 1. So let's try something else. Here? What'd you say? You have to add something. That's kind of the rule. You have to add something. Sophie.
Shade the middle one in and then the middle one at the bottom.
That one?
Yeah.
Where would your line of symmetry be?
It'd be like that in the middle one.
Horizontal?
Yeah.
Like this?
No. Like diagonal.
Oh, diagonally?
Yeah.
Like this. That works. That's really thinking outside the box there. Logan, did you have another one?
Yeah, just right in the middle, and then it's horizontal.
If you shade just right in the middle. Okay, let me back up here. So just this one, and then you'd have one here. Do you see how there's multiple options for this, guys? So just because maybe Sophie wants to shade it that way, which I love, but then Logan wants to shade it that way, which I also love, doesn't mean that either one of them's wrong. They're both correct. Okay, I've also seen kids do it this way. Does that work too for just one line of symmetry? Yeah, it does. Okay. Sometimes I think what helps students, especially if you're struggling on these ones, is start with your line of symmetry. So maybe for this one, before I shaded it, I thought I just want to have a line that goes like this, and I wanted to cut it in half. What do I need to shade on here so that it only satisfies on this rule here? And then that's maybe where you think, okay, well, if I shaded like here and here, that would work. Or again, like the one I just had, like here and here. Or you could even do this one and this one. All of those would only give you one line of symmetry. You got to kind of steer clear of the middle, like going all the way across, or even that far middle one, because then you start to get into the two lines of symmetry. So you're going to want to check it. When you guys shade, double check, can I see any other lines that would maybe possibly work here? Because if this is on a test in the future and I'm asking for a specific number of lines of symmetry, you only want to shade it so it satisfies that. If I can find more lines of symmetry and prove you wrong, then I'm going to draw those in and I'm going to take a point away. So you just want to make sure you're being extra careful with how you're shading. Let's do number 10 together as well. Nope, actually, let's skip to 11. 11 wants me to shade this so it has 4 lines of symmetry. JD?
Everywhere around it except for the middle one.
Are you meaning like the middles of all the rows, maybe?
No, all of them except for the middle.
Oh, like this.
Yeah.
That works. Because where are the 4 lines at?
Horizontally, vertically, and then diagonally.
Yes. Perfect. Again, there's other ways you could have done that. I've had some kids just fill in the middle squares on each, like they do the middle top, middle left, bottom middle. They don't do like all the corners, and that would work too. Okay, why don't you guys try 10 and 11? Okay, why don't you compare with someone next to you? Check their picture and make sure it satisfies the rule. Okay, where could I shade on number 10? Keegan?
The last, like the bottom left one. Oh, on the 10.
Yeah.
The one I said, like the left middle.
That one? Did a lot of you have that? I know that's what I have written down. That's what I wrote down. Does someone have something different that works? Okay, that looks great. How about 12? What'd someone do on 12? Macy?
Shade in the rest of the corners.
Anyone else do that? I know I did. That's what I have in my notes. So that looks great too. Okay, but you can kind of see, looking at all 4 of those, even 11 and 12, they added the shaded squares a little bit differently on those, but you can kind of see how there's a lot of options out there as far as how you could do that in order to add a little bit of shading but still make it work for what they're asking. Okay, so let's flip our page over here. Before we move on completely away from line symmetry, we've kind of talked about this already with the regular shapes, but I just want to put it down here in writing for you guys. So remember when we said yesterday with our square and when we talked about the stop sign in class and we just talked about that triangle on the previous page, those are all called regular polygons. So if you have a regular polygon, which just means, I'm going to put that in parentheses, all sides and angles are equal. Then what that means as far as like the number of line symmetry it has, however many sides, so the number of sides that a shape has, a regular shape has, that is going to tell you what the line symmetry should be. And the order. So like yesterday we saw that square, we said a square is a regular shape. It has 4 equal sides. It had 4 lines of symmetry and it had a rotational order of 4. A stop sign, we talked about that yesterday. The octagon does the same thing. Octagon has 8 equal sides on that stop sign, so it has 8 lines of symmetry and an order of 8. So that's kind of that idea of when you have a regular shape, that's always going to apply. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk about a rotational symmetry now. So this is when you're turning a shape and having it look the same. So we talked about that yesterday. When we talk about the order, that was how many times can you turn the shape and have it match up. So it's still symmetry, but it's not folding the shape in half anymore. Now you're turning it. We also talked yesterday about how to get the angle of rotation. I'm just going to write that down here as a reminder to find your angle of rotation. Does anyone remember what we talked about yesterday? What do we do to find the angle? How many degrees is it to go all the way around? 360. And then we divide by the order. That's going to give you your angle. And so they're going to start asking for that. They're not only going to want to know what was the order, like what we saw yesterday, but we then were able to add on the angle of rotation. They're going to start asking for that now too. What's the angle of rotation for your shape? Okay, so just like before, we're going to come down here. We're going to do a couple together, and then I'm going to let you guys try some. Again, if you don't see these like visually, if you're just not someone who can, in your mind, without working with the shape, actually physically turn it, then maybe use your patty paper to help you. Okay, I even did this with first period. I did number 2 with them, okay? And I went ahead and I just traced that S onto my patty paper here. And then I just went up to the board, and this may not be the perfect size anymore, but it's going to be pretty close. If I take this and I put that dot there, remember that's just telling me that's where I started. If I start turning it, tell me when to stop. When does it match? So there's 1, 2, and that's how we found that order. So again, you're doing that for all of these shapes, but if you need to, use this as a tool to kind of help you. Because I know for some of us, it doesn't necessarily just come naturally. Some of us can really just see it, and maybe even as you practice more, you'll start to get to that point. But if you're not there yet, it's okay to use your patty paper. You can even use your patty paper on the test. I don't care, because it's a tool that you can use to help you with this. So we said that the order was 2. So what would that make the angle? Good, 180. Okay, let's do one more. Let's just jump right down to number 6, right underneath it there. Any idea what the order might be for that one? 4, okay, because it's kind of like these each are, I don't know what you want to call those. They look like a clover kind of, but each of those little parts of it, if you just turn it, like turn it on its side, it should match. So order is 4, so your angle would be 90. Good. Okay, you guys take a minute here and do the rest in that chunk. Go ahead and compare with someone next to you. See if you guys got the same answers. All right, let's rapid fire go through these. Number 1, what'd you say for the order?
1.
3.
It is 3. Again, that would be 1. I would copy it on your pad paper and actually move it around. You'll see that it does line up 3 times. Or your angle then would be
120.
good, 120. Number 3,
3.
so angle's 120 again. 4,
3.
another 3. 5,
7.
8.
I think it's 8. Each kind of
Oh,
slice, I guess, if you want to call it that, I don't know, counts as like you could turn it one like little partition there. How much is the angle? Good, 45. 7? 5 should be the order because it's got 5 points. So angle would be good, 72. And number 8, order
2.
2, angle is 180. Good. All right, last couple here, guys. We're switching now to rotation. So we're still wanting to add something to our picture here, but this is for rotational symmetry, and they're specifying what they want the order to be. What I think is easiest to do, again, especially if you're using your patty paper, trace the grid, and then all you have to do is turn it the degrees that they're asking for, which your patty paper is a square, and they're going to keep it like 90 degrees or 180. They're not going to give you some random degree of like 20 and have you work with that. They're going to keep it pretty square with like this piece of paper. So you can think if it's 180 degrees, then I would just turn this 1, 2 times. And then you can actually see where your shading is going to go. So then you can just use that to help you like fill in whatever squares you're going to need. So if we look at number 9, where should I shade? Straight across
middle left.
in the middle. Could I include the middle if I wanted to?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need to, but if you wanted to, or if you saw that, that would be fine. How about for 10? So it has an order of 4.
The top middle.
Top, middle. Good. Left, middle, bottom, middle. That's perfect. 11.
The last diagonal one.
This one here.
Yeah.
Yep, I like that. 12.
All.
All corners. I agree. And again, if you don't see it right away, trace that original shape onto your patty paper and then just start turning your piece of patty paper. It'll follow the squares and just color in where they land. And then when you get done, like if you go back, you should see that it would continue to just rotate around on itself. Any questions there?